Okay, so right now we've got a new moon. We've got the Perseids meteor shower. We've got there's something else happening tonight. The eclipse. The eclipse. Oh, how could I forget about the eclipse? We're also in Saturn retrograde, um, Neptune retrograde, Chiron retrograde, and on top of that, the thing that's piquing my interest and having me pay attention the most is that Mercury, the planet of communication, the one that just dog walked us in Cancer, moved into Leo. And when Mercury is in Leo, he is loud. He is proud. He is saying things. And he is not afraid of the consequences. So, and that is a good thing. But also, it's a very interesting placement for Mercury, which again rules the communication part of our charts, but also is an air sign ruled by that air sign energy. So it's when the mind meets voice and the fire of the belly to rule it all. And I am really excited about whatever that means for us collectively and also for this collective. And then, side note, the deck that I dropped my incense stick on was this one. So I feel like that one's going to be important. Okay, collective time. Let's get your emotional baseline. I really like starting with these first because it gives everybody a quick way to know if this is really going to be yours or not. Because this is not how you're feeling. These are not your emotions. Then, watch if you want. There's always energy healing in all my messages, and there's tarot tips as well. But that way you don't have to attach to the reading as it being yours. So let's just get what is this collective's emotional baseline right now? What is this collective's emotional baseline right now? Not wanting to come out. What's that? Oh no. Okay. What a trio. You've got worthless and angry with detachment in the middle. I'm really hoping you're detaching from some of these, obviously more enlightened on the bottom, uncomfortable emotions. Let's get one more for that worthless. You've got to be if you're in a state of detachment, like a true state of detachment. We'll see. Stress. Protective. And the purple too, connecting to your crown chakra, your higher self, your third eye. Keeping safe, concerned, being careful, responsible, caring for welfare, guarding, preventing from getting hurt. And again, just like right out the gate, I feel like with these two specifically, the worthless and the protective, and then the detachment in the middle, I think you're coming into a state where you're just very protective of yourself and your world and who you are and the work that you've done. I don't think you ever want to be put in a place where you feel worthless ever again. But for it to come out like that, you could be in a less exuberant mood and more of just like a ruthless sort of take no prisoners sort of attitude. That's kind of what I'm sensing. Like it's not this like, oh, love is great and life is great, like sitting on a rainbow and sunshine. Like it's not one of those. It's more just like I'll never let anybody near me again who will do me wrong. Um, and like really being rabid and protective over self. That's just what I'm feeling. We'll see if that's correct. Tenderness on the bottom. Let's get one more for this angry. So maybe you've just had something re-enter in your life, or maybe that cosmic energy, because there's always a reason that I yap about anything in a reading or anything comes to my mind. Maybe you're really starting to solidify some internal lessons with all the retrogrades, and you're finding that strength of a lion within with your voice, and you are using it as a protection shield, not a mask, but just like, that shield of armor around yourself appropriately instead of defensively. Um, what's this angry? You could be a little bit angry for the past and some misdeeds. Indecisive. So I think something's come in. I'm not going to lie. And eclipse season is one of those seasons. Everybody talks about how Mercury retrograde and everybody's coming back from the dead and like, well, not literally, obviously, unless you're doing necromancy, but like, exes and past friends and although that can happen, I think eclipse season is much more of a doorway to the past than anything else because they cap off cycles when it comes to energy and specifically with the nodes. Astrology is everything. If you ever hear me talk about astrology, and I'm not like an expert by any means, like I was never classically trained in astrology. I know where to go to get the information from people I trust. But if you ever feel like you're lost in the woods and there's so much information out there, I have a video I made like when I first started posting on YouTube. If you sort videos by oldest, you'll see like books and recommendations. It's like the fourth or fifth one down. There's books about astrology in there. Just check it out. Those are some of the books that I started with and still even use today that really help me understand cosmic energy in a very simplified format with beautiful illustrations and just it's coming to my mind because again there's a lot of information out there and people can get overwhelmed especially when it comes to that one specific area of study, so don't feel overwhelmed. You can absorb little bits here and there, but anyways, I think something's happened for you to be indecisive with this angry. I think something's pushed your buttons, especially for you to come up, you to be like mama bear for yourself, right? And I think at the bottom of it is a detachment where you're not attached to outcomes and you're not attached to expectations. Let's just see. And there was a reason why my fire stick like just flew out of my hand and landed on these. So let's see what's in this collective's energy right now that's triggering this. What is triggering this in this collective's energy? What was the... Oh, communicate. Let's get two more. Oh, so... You got communicate, and normally I wouldn't pull cards out when they just flip over, but I feel it's important because I feel what's happened is you've gotten some sort of words sent your way, probably being fueled by that Mercury and Leo situation. You have to, anyways, I keep having the impulse to go into astrology, so it must be something that you're really into, right? That's the collective's energy. But there's communicate, honeymoon, liar, rebound. These two, I feel like, is your spidey senses being pricked, but then this honeymoon, it's like I'm hearing like whatever's come your way has maybe presented at like surface level, very like honeymoon, period sort of energy where it's just like, only positive, only romantic, only like kind of naive, like just kind of lost in the lust or the romance of something. I'm seeing that Knight of Wands, that charismatic Casanova, smooth criminal. But I think your spidey senses are being pricked here, and you don't believe a story, and it's making you feel like maybe you're a rebound for some reason or another. For you to be in a state of detachment, I'll say this, and again we'll confirm it all, but for you to be in a state of detachment and having the intuition, or at least maybe that's what you're telling yourself, that you are just a distraction for somebody who has re-entered into your life. There is either a very logical reason or it's your trauma coming up as a defense mechanism to create avoidance and like a negative narrative. We'll figure out which one. I have a feeling it's actually your spidey senses because I've said it like 3 times. But projection on the bottom. I don't know. We'll just see. Okay, so what is this communicate? Guardian, a loved one watches over you, but I also see it as just like universal protection. So you could be telling yourself that this conversation was very guided. Maybe it's a puzzle piece moment or a full circle moment. And I think you're feeling that in the moment for sure. If you hadn't told yourself that, again, have discernment, especially when it comes to readings where there's like actual things like happening in real time, sort of. It's really important you make sure it's for you. All right. One more for that. Vibe shift. Look at all the purple. Let go. Make for the new beginning that's on its way to you now. And you're telling yourself this. You're saying whatever's happening right now, we'll get into your emotion and what is actually like. I think you're sitting on some sort of message, or you've just had some sort of ignition and you haven't moved with it yet, because I think otherwise the indecisive wouldn't be here with this angry. Like you've had a negative reaction to whatever this communication is. And in that moment, you saw it as a reflection of your gut telling you not to engage, and you wisely have not engaged with it yet, right? And you are telling yourself right now with this garden and this letting go that you need to let go of expectation of this in order for any new beginning to be on the way to you. I can't tell if you're doing the thing where you're like, I just won't respond and we're just going to see what happens in a more unconsciously manipulative way, or if you're telling yourself, okay, this is a puzzle piece and I don't need to know what happens next. I just need to fully detach, right? Because again, your bodyguard's coming up. Your bodyguard's coming up. Even if the intention is to protect you, sometimes it can bite us in the bum. What's this honeymoon? Not that you should accept anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, obviously. Trust issue. There it is. You don't trust it. Whatever has come to the table with communication in this moment, you don't trust it. It's too nice, too flattering, too surface level, and you can feel that there's something in the background. Whether there is or not, we will obviously get into it. But again, if your gut intuition is telling you that something is not right, 9 times out of 10, and this is where people get it wrong, 9 times out of 10, it's because the inside job that is your internal compass still needs work. And in order to protect yourself from treating someone unfairly and or getting yourself in a little bit of a pickle, removing yourself is always the best option. Now, sometimes you can walk down the wrong road of constantly looking outside of yourself for the reason that you're feeling a certain way, right? It would be really easy for me to both interpret these cards and for you to be telling yourself, oh, well, this person just can't be trusted. I've never trusted them in the past and they're going to hurt me again. They're going to hurt me again. 1, there's no reason to perpetuate a narrative unless you have a reason to believe that. 2, nobody's forcing you to interact with anybody. So if you genuinely self-trust this person, close the door for good. But third of all, this is a pattern of thinking that needs to change if you want healthy, balanced relationships in the future, because there's a difference between not letting something rattle you and understanding what is meant for you and coming from a place of fear and scarcity and being avoidant of a situation. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a really subtle lesson for clearly a collective that's been working really, really hard on things like discernment, trust issues, abandonment wounds, stuff like that. This is not a collective that is, still spiraling through figuring out how you feel about things, worrying about an outcome, attached to an outcome, labeled disconnection as something. It's much more intricate of a lesson. So I have to say it because I can feel it in my soul. Like, even as I start to explain things, the rational part of your energy comes in and makes a really fucking good argument for anything I'm about to counterpoint. So, but either way, you know that you've still got trust issues with whatever this is. And that's why you've put up this wall of protection around yourself so that your worthlessness wound doesn't flare and you can kind of introspect, which again is good, but that's the decisive and the angry. All right, what's this liar? Someone not being truthful. Love spell. And I think I'm hearing it's like you could, however this is presented to you, it could seem very Twitter-pated, like, hearts for pupils and just like, under a love spell. Maybe they even said that too, that they feel like they've been bewitched. They're seeing things clearly now. And it's just coming off to you as very excessive. People I have to say this because it's happened to me and it was such like oh, wow. I thought I wanted this, but this is clearly a lesson. People always crave for other situations and like lovers to return from the past. But once you start to heal, Like once you truly start to heal and know what aligns with you and you're protective of yourself and you find detachment in situations that don't serve you or are not in alignment, when things return, if they have not been, the person or the situation has not evolved in the ways that you have evolved, it really does give you the ick. And it makes you feel very uncomfortable because, again, you're healing yourself. So you're no longer craving, yearning, pining, needing the destruction of the past, right? That's what healing is bandaging and doing wound care on the parts of our ego that crave dysfunction and crave you know lustful accelerated love and obsessive controlling love. Like when you're healed, you don't want that. So when things from the past present to you very excessive, I can see it all over this collective's energy. And I remember the first time I experienced this was like a year or so ago, when it wasn't even someone from the past. It was just someone new who entered into my life. And the way that they were behaving with me was very, very heavily codependent, very reassurance seeking, like a little bit manipulative. And the way it full body freaked me out, where I was like, you and I don't know each other. Why are you obsessively calling, obsessively messaging, checking in on me, asking me like it was so like, whoa, what the fuck? And I had a moment where I was like, 10 years ago, I would have loved this love bomby bullshit. And that's how I knew I was healing. This collective, again, I think you're having one of those moments right now where you're like, oh God. And that's not to say that we'll get all the way into it, but I can feel it. It's like where the whole world spins around you and you're seeing something clearly and you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Especially if this is something you've been wanting to come back from the past for quite a while. Or a situation that you had hoped would, in your mind, in your beautiful, beautiful storyteller mind, end up being the, fantasy love story. And there's a little bit of hyper independence bubbling under the surface as a wound, but well, of course, I keep saying we'll get into it, and we will. I want one more for that love spell and liar. Water sign. So emotions, very emotional. Someone is being very, very, very heartfelt. Again, not to say they're just genuine. A lie doesn't have to be a literal falsehood that someone is maliciously speaking into existence. It can also just be an energy of inauthenticity, right? Like whatever's happening here, this person can truly believe this is genuinely how they feel, but you're picking up something else in the background. So what's this rebound energy? Again, this is what you're feeling and telling yourself. You're like, I think children. This is inner child. I think it is triggering your inner child, protecting your inner child. That's for sure. That really confirms that protective. But there's also something here about children. I don't think you guys have kids together. I'm not feeling that at all. And I don't tap into the energy of children because children can't consent. So children dynamics, I don't detangle. You have to take stuff like that as it fits when you listen to me. Everything else, make sure it fits 100%. But there's something here in your mind that you're telling yourself, and it's something that has to do with children and maybe some sort of distraction away from them or towards them. I don't know what it is. Let's get one more just for the rebound, not for the children. Mercury retrograde, putting things under review, something that's always had communication issues. The last time that you interacted with this person could have been a Mercury retrograde. I said that I brought it up at the beginning. It doesn't have to be this last one, but there's always been communication issues between the two of you guys or the situation in general. And I think it's like I'm hearing like lost in translation. Because however this came in, I think you went, nope. And I don't even think you like blocked or pushed this person away and told them to go fuck themselves. I think you just removed yourself. And then now you're doing this like bird's eye perspective where you're like, what the fuck? I want one last One for this trust issues, because that's you. Digger. I don't like that phrase. Someone else. That's what it is. So, in your mind, right? The reason that you are feeling like this is, whatever has come towards you, that has been some sort of communication, right? Some sort of communication. It's clearly been cosmically guided according to you and your narrative in your mind. And you're like, cool, puzzle piece, full circle moment. But do I do anything about it? I'm feeling very protective over myself, right? And it's coming a little bit love bombing and or very excessive when it comes to emotion, because you've got that emotions, the water sign and the love spell. They could have also been sitting on some sort of confession. I don't think it was confession because it's communicate. So it could have even come in like very dry or very sexual. I fucking hope not, because a confession would have been like an apology or like a, hey, I really need to talk to you. I'd like to work some things out. Communicate could have been just like a, hey, I've been thinking about you. Can I take you out? And then it like triggered the rest of this. But at the very bottom of it, you're like, I think I'm just a rebound. I know I've got trust issues around this. I know that there's someone else, or you're thinking that there's someone else. You could literally know for a fact, or maybe the last time you talked to this person, they were in a relationship. And that also gave you the ick where it's like, why are you talking to me right now? You're in a relationship and it's triggered this within you, right? Which is then the protective over any sort of abandonment and worthlessness wounds. That's what it's actually propping up, right? Well, you're trying to protect your inner child, which I think is really beautiful. And also the indecisiveness and the angry. I feel like there's a little bit of the indecisiveness in the other person and maybe what they've said to you, especially if there's other people involved, where they're like, I can't make a decision, and they're putting you in a position where they're like, tell me we still have a chance, and if we do, I'll break up with my partner, which would be truly fucking insane, and that would be toxic as hell. But like, I think, again, this is maybe a moment of true detachment for you, which I think is really good. Selfish on the bottom of those emotion decks. Okay, so that's what's going on for the right collective and in their world. What a way to kick fucking eclipse season off. My love. But also, again, very cosmically timed. Let's get one more for that indecisive, angry. Space and regret. Look at that. I think it confirms both the things I said. Not only are you feeling very indecisive about how you want to deal with this, but you've put up some sort of wall. I think the person that's come back around has been has let you know that there's been some sort of regret, and you've put space in between you and that person because it's made you feel very indecisive. And in that, and also in their indecisiveness for however long they've been sitting on this, it's propping up some anger. You're doing the right thing. For the fourth or fifth time, I need to validate that. You're doing the right thing by not engaging with the situation when you're in a triggered state. Because if you can't be neutral and actually detached, there's no point in engaging with someone, even if you want to, even if you are feeling like you're going to blow your lid. And sometimes it is okay to just have spontaneous expression and not be constructive. Like, we're human, and you shouldn't always bottle up your emotions. Someone pushes you to the fucking brink, it would be a normal thing for you to unhinge your jaw and swallow them whole. Do you know what I mean? Like, when the fangs come out, they come out for a reason. But with that being said, I think you're doing the right thing by being like, whoa, right? Protect myself, go within, heal myself. What is going on internally? Is this even what I want? And then I think your meat computer is kicking in, right? The hardest, in my opinion, the most ignited that the meat computer will be when it comes to breaking a cycle, which is what you're literally doing. You're breaking an emotional cycle right now, and probably a karmic cycle as well. The most ignited your brain will be on like 100% CPU, and the fans are just going and you're overheating and things are starting to glitch, is in the first 48 hours. If you can hold firm to what your intuition told you to do in the first 48 hours, which was clearly to put distance up, it will get easier and easier and easier. And then after you've calmed down, sometimes that takes over a month. Okay, it's not going to be a couple weeks. That would be a blessing if you could truly find center in a couple weeks. But after you've calmed down, then you can start going over what it actually means and what you actually want, and maybe say something constructive, right? It's not going to be a couple days. The first 48 hours, I think you're in that. You're in that right now. That's maybe what I'll title this reading. Okay, so let's just see. Kind of at a loss of where to start with this. I kind of want to just get the intention of what's come towards you so that you can soothe yourself. But in order to do that, I really need to get a ton of detail about who you are and who this person is so that nobody incorrectly assigns this reading as theirs, right? So let's see who you are from Source's perspective. And this is going to be a long one, but it's going to be really important for the right group of people. So let's see who you are from Source's perspective. And then we'll see who this person is from Source's perspective. And then we'll see how it entered with a bunch of detail. And then we'll get the intention. Sound good? Okay, sound good. I'm not happy that you're going through this, but like doing like in the moment trauma or like, triage is like, it's one of my favorite things. It's my Super Bowl. I'm like the best at it. I'm the friend you call in the chaos. I like get off on it. I love it. So just know that like I'm locked in. We're locked in, bestie. We're going to figure it out. Okay. So let's see who you are as a person and what the past month has been like for you. Just this collective, what has been the past month and who are you as a person? Okay, beautiful. So let's get organized just a tiny bit. You've got 6 of Wands upright, Chariot in reverse, 8 of Swords in reverse, Queen of Swords in reverse, and then 4 of Cups in reverse with Lovers underneath. So right away, you're also a go-getter. No wonder I called in a collective where you are a, shining light in your life. You are a ruthless soldier when it comes to your success. First one out, 6 of Wands. That is literally winning the battle. Victory march. Pride of achievement. It can be a card about being very influential and also fame, but literally just riding back into town on your horse, like, celebration promenade. People are throwing flowers, like think like the battle's won and you led the call. You are your knight in shining armor, right? Past month, that's what's been going on is you've been getting a lot of wins. And I don't mean huge wins, but enough to where you notice like, hey, shit's fallen into place, right? Things are starting to get sparkly and beautiful and blessings seem to be coming in here and there and you're meeting the right people and you feel great and people are appreciating you and stuff like that. You've been in a good place internally and externally, but it comes from your hard work and you being that diehard soldier for your life, not for other people, for you. And I think that would have been really noticeable for you because you're coming out of a period of Chariot in reverse, blocked, obstacles, delays, things that have been very stubbornly broken down on the side of the road. No Chariot AAA, no spare Chariot wheel, right? And you're like, fuck that, I don't care. I'm going to push forward with the things that I can control, releasing limiting beliefs and getting out of the prison of the mind. In traditional tarot, it's this depiction where that figure is not bound. Those swords are not actually in the body the way they are in 3 of Swords or 10 of Swords. They're kind of in the clothing, but what was required to get out of this mental prison, right? Not physical prison, mental prison, is just to remove the blindfold and walk away. And you've been doing that. Again, in the face of actual obstacles, Major Arcana, the Chariot, those are big life lessons. Those are gods. So those obstacles would have been all scattered throughout. It's like an obstacle course in your life. And when Source does that, it's a test of endurance, faith, and persistence. And you've been literally succeeding, achieving, winning. Love that. Now, there's still a little bit of pessimism in the mind. I remember I said I was picking up just a little bit, like a whiff of hyper independence. I think that's where this Queen of Swords comes in. She really manipulates her thought pattern and she can be quite pessimistic. And in that way of her being a negative Nancy, she really manipulates this cloud of obscurity and negativity and doom and gloom in the mind. When she comes out in reverse, I always hear her and see her pacing in her giant stone cold castle, and you just hear her heels like clacking as she's walking back and forth, and she's like, and like I hear the narrative from that one SpongeBob episode. It's like they think they can do this to me. I don't think so. Like she She does that a bit, right? I think that's what you're trying to still break free from, but it's still here in your energy. So we'll get one more of that. That also means, because I've asked who you are as a person, you get trapped in the mind. You're more analytical than you are emotional. That really helps when it comes to business, life path, and mission work. But when it comes to love, which you've got the lovers on the table, it's kind of the worst energy that you want to see, because you can't listen to your mind when it comes to love. You have to listen to your heart and your body and your soul when it comes to love. Unless, well, you'll know what I mean. You'll know what I mean. For this collective, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Four of Cups in reverse, that is a reevaluation and a release of a self-unawareness or a delusional state or a disconnection from self when it comes to partnership energy. So not just romantic relationships, although obviously that's been on your mind because you're probably in a state of detachment or you're working through one when it comes to someone from the past that is bringing up your trust issues, but also feeling valued in dualistic, equal give and take, Six of Coins partnerships. So Lover's energy, major arcana, yin and yang. It's that beautiful balance between the two, finding harmony in all of our situations. Who do we invest our time and energy with? And do we get the same sort of thing in return that we need, even if it doesn't show itself to be the same? If you're a ride or die, which I believe this collective you are, you need people in your life who are also ride or dies. Because givers are givers. We don't give with the expectation to receive. So that is how givers can get burnt out and become Queen of Swords and get trapped in the mind, is when they're surrounded by takers, right? And takers need to be with takers, because there's nothing wrong with people who take, right? It's not always malicious. There's just different types of energy structures in the body. But if you're loyal to a fault, and you would do anything for someone, a taker is not going to see that as a test of loyalty. They're just going to see that as something that you do, that you like to do. No, it's a part of your personality. You don't even realize that you do go above and beyond for other people. You probably are the type of person that remembers other people's birthdays, remembers things about people that they said once. And then, when something comes up that reminds you of that one thing they said, you take a picture of it and send it to them, buy it and give it to them, bring it up that you saw it, whatever it was, right? You log things away because you're loyal to connection, because you're loyal to yourself, which is what makes you a Six of Wands. Now, because this is the focus for the last month, I think this has been the hardest one, especially because it's right next to this Queen of Swords. Having a reevaluation of what you hold dear and what you actually value and who actually values you is a really hard place for Queen of Swords to go, because again, she's trapped in the mind with pessimism. So let's just get one more for her. Emperor. It's an interesting pairing. So in order to get out of your mind, you want stability and control. That is not necessarily a bad thing. And divine masculine energy, which is what Emperor embodies, is very authoritative and protective. He rules over all the other kings in the empire, right? Swords, wands, cups, and Pentacles. He rules over them. His castle, his kingdom overlooks all of them. It's up in the clouds, major arcana, right? But what he does lack is an ability to feel. And if you're trying to come out of your mind, the only way, I said it a minute ago, the only way to do it is to get into your vulnerability and your heart space. And again, I think you're doing it, but you're leaning more into masculine energy. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's actually how you get to detachment. But it can bite you in the butt if you then spin the narrative that people can't be trusted. This is bullshit. This person's trying to take advantage of me. Blah, 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 blah. A true state of detachment would look at a situation that triggers you and be like, wow, I still have work to do, which I think you're doing. And also, this person seems really unhealed. This is not a reflection of what they think I actually deserve. This is a reflection of their wounding, and I'm going to separate myself from it. I'm going to also work on my trust issues, but it has nothing to do with this person. That's what an Emperor would do. And again, I think you're trying. I think you're definitely on the way, but if you have a tendency to put yourself in Eight of Swords, there's always going to be a potential in the future for it to crop up. The more severe the trigger, the more potential for that. And that's the way that karmic cycles work, is once we think we've mastered a stepping stone that's then easy to stand on in the middle of that hurricane, they will make an even smaller stepping stone be the next one, so we can really find our balance, structure, and stability. Let's Let's see what this Six of Wands is. King of Cups, there's so much like divine masculine energy around you. Again, really falls in line with the theme already in your energy is you've been finding a place of a structure and authority within in order to find detachment from that lens into logical. I'm so excited for this reading that I'm like speaking way too fast and I'm going to start tripping over my words. So I apologize, but intellectual, courageous, protective, strong, balance, and also forward momentum, yang sun energy. Now, I do think there's a little bit, obviously, in your energy, the way you've been winning and achieving the Six of Wands is to actually use divine masculine energy, but the most emotionally in tune divine masculine energy when it comes to a king of cups. I always see him as the sitcom dad from the 90s, the one that gives like really great advice and will cry during all the rom-coms that he watches with the kids, like can build the tree house from scratch, but also helps the wife like do the dishes and clean the house. And it's like just a really solid emotional support system in his life, but it's yang energy, so it's active energy. You've been connecting to your creative, artistic, and emotional pursuits, but from the yang balance of you, the yin and the yang. You've been doing it with that, which is really beautiful. So again, these are not things you know about yourself to be true for at least the past month, and how you've been coming up against situations, not your reading, because it's really important, especially with your emotions. All right, I want to see how you're shining to Source, Creator, God, right now, as this is coming into your life. Oh, beautiful. Dragonfly. And this would also be parts of your personality. Moth energy. So that's that hyper independence, the worry, the trust issues. That's where it's flaring. And you would know this about yourself. The moth thinks the grass is always greener. It's always searching for, what's next. I'm going to read them to you, but especially with this gazelle energy. Whoop. And then the dragonfly, be lighthearted, finding things out. I mean, you removing yourself from the situation, that's a good impulse, because clearly you're not in the mind frame to be seeing things from a balanced, centered approach. But there's a reason why I wanted to get a bunch of details about where your energy is sitting. It says impulsive, hasty, and wishful. The moth is sure the grass is greener on the other side. Moth energy is at play when we're attracted to easy solutions or anything shiny and new. This can lead to unfinished projects, disappointment, or burnout. It's helpful to remind moth personalities that life is complex. No matter the illusion, no one is exempt from the trials and tribulations of the great journey. Riding that wave of emotion. You're doing a really great job. But again, I think you're manipulating your thought pattern into thinking, because whatever has entered into your life has entered in a very imperfect and human way. It must be because you're a rebound. There's other people involved. They've just got their rose-colored glasses on. They just want to use me. I'm just, an avoidant. I'm just an avoidant toy that they want to play with. This doesn't mean anything real. That's the moth energy, right? Which again, you do what you want. This is your life. But for me to be called, I very rarely ever get called from Creator to do like movement, communication, connection readings. Even though it's in a lot of my readings, like those themes, I very rarely ever get called to do a, time sensitive, urgent, whatever reading. So for me to have to do one, or me to be called to do one, it's really important that we don't rush into things and we look at things from a higher perspective, and not be surface level with a lot of stuff. So the gazelle, heightened awareness, ability, and vulnerable. So that's what's coming up for the trust issues, is this position has put you in a place where you feel extremely vulnerable because you can't control the outcome with your Emperor, King of Cups energy. And you've been all over controlling your environment in order to create stability and success and growth, which is great and normal. But again, you can't do that in relationships. You cannot control relationships, manipulate relationships, and expect for all relationships to be rock solid from here until the end of time. You can love someone to the depths of your soul and it not work out, or you guys have fights. Like fights are actually one of the indicators of a healthy connection because that means that when there are disagreements or misalignments, you guys put in the effort to repair, reconstruct, and then come back together. Do you get what I'm saying? So the gazelle represents supreme grace. With every move, this awe-inspiring beauty amidst sophistication and elegance. Gazelle personalities are often hyper aware of their surroundings, bordering on hyper vigilance, hyper independence. I called it. And this can inhibit them from enjoying the beauty they've spent so much effort cultivating. We'll just see. My mind's being flooded with things. So we'll just see. No more worrying about all those predators out there in the wild. When this card appears, it's time to get back to the present moment. Sit down, find your breath, and acknowledge the bounty that surrounds you. Let it nourish your gentle spirit. How do I say this? It is a totally normal reaction for this collective for you to feel threatened anytime something comes into your life that could potentially destroy the beautiful, safe, vibrant, and abundant kingdom that you've built from the wreckage of your trauma of the past, right? You have been fighting tooth and nail and crawling through broken glass to be where you are. And I just want to acknowledge that. However, if you are not in a place emotionally or can't get to a place emotionally where you can put that wall down and practice true vulnerability, then you're actually not as safe as you think you are. Okay? Self-awareness requires an acknowledgement of the dualistic nature of life, the good and the bad, the hard and the easy, the beautiful and the ugly. Otherwise, again, you're just in moth gazelle energy where you're hyper vigilant to failure and pain. And you're always assuming the grass is going to be greener on the other side. Once we get through this, once this is over, blah, 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 blah. You're going to wait your life away. Sitting in the moments, even if they're uncomfortable, and having gratitude and appreciating full circle moments like the ones you're having, it's going to be far more important than anything you decide to do in the future when it comes to interpersonal relationships. Okay. We're trying to build that internal castle of safety and security within. And also in that way, if you can, like I said, you're not as safe as you think you are if you're going to if you're worried that something like this can rattle you. I actually think in reality, if it hadn't been this one person, I think it's like one of those, right? That one person that can really just pull that wrong Jenga block out and just the whole thing come down. We all have that one. If you can weather this storm, you will truly start to feel, like you can handle anything, and that's the place we want to get you to, because there's so many things outside of our control in this world, and it doesn't matter how fortified your kingdom is. Like, life happens. Your life can change in the blink of an eye, especially with what's going on in the world. Like, that's what true perspective is as well. Like, yeah, someone came back from your past and it's rattling the fuck out of you. With the climate crisis, like the downfall of capitalism, the end of the imperialist American empire, like there are serious external threats facing every single human on this fucking planet and all the other species and Mother Earth herself. I'm not trying to minimize your pain, but you'll get what I'm saying. 4440 on the timer when I was saying that. One sec. Okay, so then that third one was the dragonfly, master of light, illusion, and the mind. The dragonfly is an ancient ethereal creature that awakens a sense of wonder in us all. The dragonfly is a symbol of the mind. It is always moving, shifting, shimmering, and changing. When this card appears, it's worth considering the quality of your mind and your perception. Are you restless or still, dreamlike or crystal clear? The situation at hand may be different than it appears at first glance. The dragonfly reminds us to calm the mind so the light of wisdom can shine through. Beautifully, just caps everything we've talked about. And I have to say this too, and I said it the other day in a reading, I'm kind of hearing myself say it. If you struggle with the ability to discern whether or not someone is truly a monster and trying to take advantage of you and is malicious and harmful and abusive, and someone who is imperfect and not in alignment with you, or you need to use tact and patience, or your trauma's coming up and it's coloring the way you're thinking, if you can't discern between the two, then energy work through tarot is not going to cut it. You need actual professional help, because those should be very easy to discern energies, right? And I don't think this collective is in the place where you actually don't know, but I think right in this moment, you are really struggling with the idea that something from the past that maybe made you feel very painful, uncomfortable, and accelerated things could be different now, but so you're different now, right? And again, we're going to get into this person's actual intention in the moment after we get all the details to make sure it's really the right situation for the right group of people. But like, truly, there's nothing malicious about being not in alignment with someone. It's totally different than someone actively trying to take advantage of you, actively wanting to hurt you, actively, a dangerous person. And there's no point in perpetuating the narrative if you can tell the difference between the two and it's not actually happening, because it's going to put you in a little bit of an ivory tower, forgetting that there's two parts to every story. And if you called in someone who was a menace to deal with in the past, you were also a menace, right? Just have to say it. We don't do victimhood in this neck of the woods, in my neck of the woods. So again, if you're sitting there, you're like, well, my ex was abusive and harmful, and we beat the shit out of each other. This person, I'm in a domestic violence situation with them. It's not going to be your reading ever with me, because I don't pick up those collectives. But also, that is a situation that requires professional help, of which I'm not an expert. And why would you even be watching a reading on someone like that? It doesn't make sense. Okay. Watch if you want, but you'll get what I'm saying. I appreciate anybody who watches me, but I hate the idea of feeding into anybody's delusion. Okay, so sorry. Didn't wear bug spray and I got eaten up the other day on a walk. So we're gonna get Source's perspective on who this person is, and I want to get this bottom deck because they are so beautiful. And I feel like it's a masculine energy, because you've been sitting in such beautiful divine masculine strength. That's probably what you've called in, or a version of it. And this is gold. This deck is gold, and gold is the sun, which is yang energy. Oh my God, Emily, are we joking right now? What is happening? Sorry. Chaos. What's that? 9 of hearts. Beautiful. Okay. So, Source. Clear out your energy. I want to see who the person is that has approached collective. Who is that person? Who is that person? Not what's been going on in their life yet, just who they are. Who is the person? Approach collective. One more. Whoa. You guys have a lot of repeating cards. One sec. Okay, so something odd has just happened. I was just saying, if you can't tell the difference between someone who's horrible and malicious, don't watch a reading. There's some cards on here where I'm like, I might have been called it wrong. But as these were coming out, there's repeating cards that were in your energy, but they are reversed now, or they're in a different position. And I was hearing this is still your perception of them. So this is not, I had to clear more of your energy out, because I think it's very strongly in that lens of hypervigilant trust issues. So I'm going to get another deck, and if the same cards come out, then that'll be the truth about it, right? Source's perspective of who the person is that's come towards you. If they're different, it'll confirm what I just said, about it being the wounded, version of them from your perspective, not who they actually are. So, because there's no way. Let's just do a little experiment. Okay, so creator, who is the person from your objective perspective? Who are they from your perspective? Not collective's perspective, your perspective. Who is this person? I actually think those are supposed to be upright because they kind of, I don't normally flip them over like that, but let's do them like this. So totally different cards, and that's what I thought was going to happen. So we're going to go through these one by one, and I've kind of laid them out in above each other. So your perspective, Six of Wands in reverse, that's literally a card about narcissism. And I was saying, like, if you can't tell the difference between someone who's actually malicious, then you need professional help, not a tarot reader, right? Your perspective, this person in the past was very full of themselves, right? In this purple deck, the untruthfulness, the rebound, whatever. But what Source is saying is actually going on is they're a Knight of Swords. They've entered into a Knight of Swords, but they're also a little bit of a Knight of Swords. So they have impulse control. They are a fast moving energy of Knight of Swords throws a lot of people off. And I'm not saying it's a balanced approach to life. However, it's a skill that can be honed, sharpened, and used appropriately. Knight of Swords is the one you want to see when you're struggling to make a decision or you need to take a leap of faith and you just need to go, right? He's that very persistent soldier on the battlefield, first one in. He lacks the fear and the hesitancy and the getting trapped in the mind. It's very like, we're going to fucking do this, right? Taking charge. But in your past experience with this person, you saw that lack of impulse control as something that was self-focused and self-centered. No, it's just a part of who this person is, right? Sometimes it comes out clumsy. I bet this person is great when it comes to, life path or like their passions in life and things where that can be an advantage, but not when it comes to love, right? That's why, again, you were seeing things inappropriate in the past. Now, Four of Cups, again, that was one you had in yours as releasing limiting beliefs and having self-awareness. You see this person still is being self-unaware, as being disconnected from self, disconnected from emotions, maybe a little doom and gloom, maybe a little delusional or lost in the mind. But actually, what Source is saying is a Five of Swords in reverse, changing the outcome, which is going to be unexpected. That's why it all makes sense. It all makes sense, right? Again, you're not saying you're doing anything wrong, but this is Source's perspective, and look at how we're lining it up, right? To counterbalance some of the negative narratives you're telling yourself in your mind that your ego is perpetuating in order to keep you safe, which is just avoidance and hyper-independence, right? I know this is going to be hard to hear, but I think deep down you'll want to hear this. But anyway, so the self-unawareness, this person is coming in to make amends. Literally, Five of Swords in reverse is that. It feels unexpected, but it's changing an outcome here. It's understanding that anything that Five of Swords upright could have been, which is betrayal, loss, selfishness, deceit, in the past, it's coming to the surface. And even if it's painful for both parties or everybody involved, it does need to happen, right? Changing the outcome. And I think they want to, in their energy, or have the ability to acknowledge the past. So that's also telling me, right? And this is an attribute about this person that you would know to be true. This person is not immoral. And I've said it about 4 times in a bunch of different ways, like alluding to it. You've seen this person have a very solid moral compass. You've seen this person have integrity. This person is not a habitual liar or someone who takes advantage of other people, who does like get rich quick schemes or breaks the law in a very, I think we could have a conversation about morality and laws and how those circles are not, that Venn diagram is not a circle, but you'll get what I'm saying. Like, there's certain people who are reckless in this world and dangerous. It's not this person, right? Like, this person has a very solid moral compass. It's just in the past, they were unhealed, and so were you, right? Doesn't excuse their behavior, but again, we're trying to shift perspective here. Now, they did get Ace of Cups. So in the past, you did see this person as a divine connection of yours, overflowing love, maybe really made you feel for the first time that wealth of emotion and safety and comfort and romantic bliss. Let's just see what comes out to confirm this. This person, I think it's like I'm hearing, because they got Eight of Cups, and that's one of the most painful cards in tarot, in my opinion, walking away from things you don't want to walk away from. You would know that your guys' split in the past was not because you didn't love each other. There was other shit that got in the way, like other big things that got in the way. It wasn't a lack of love, and it never has been. So that means, too, in your mind, right? Because we're going over who this person is to get a lot of detail. Even if there were moments where your ego was telling you that this person didn't love you, your higher self would never let you perpetuate that narrative. Like, you know, deep down in your soul that was not what was going on, right? You're both unhealed. You're both traumatized. You both were, unstable in life in one way or another. And they walked away, or you both walked away from each other because it was something that had to be done. Like, it was time, is what I was hearing. And again, that's the reason why that card is so painful. Top 5 most painful cards for me. It's because you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. There's no part of you that wants to walk away from those 8 cups that are standing up. But you know that you have to. And it's not a decision you make once or twice or 3 times. It's a decision you have to make over and over and over, so that you walk towards your intuition, your inner knowing, and your emotional well-being until the sun comes up. Right? It's a long journey. Very, very difficult. But again, just, follow along. Devil in reverse. Your energy, your perspective. There was toxic karmic connections. You could have even put this person in that category. Or I'm hearing you could be intermittently putting that person in that category, which, don't fuck with the labels. There's literally no reason. But there's also addictions and problems with finances in the past, and the obsessive compulsive, lustful, or, like magnetic, surface level desire sort of element in your guys' connection. I know I flipped it over and these were both in reverse, but I really do feel like they should be like both ways. Temperance in reverse is a self-indulgence and a lack of perspective and a disconnection from source and your true authentic self and connection to your life path. So your guys' past habits and behaviors got in the way of whatever your destiny is, which is, again, why you would know this 8 of Cups would be here, because even if you're not the one who pulled the trigger on that decision, now in your healing, if you were to be honest with yourself, you would know that it was the right thing to do, no matter how painful, so that you could evolve, they could evolve, whatever, right? And it's not like this person came in and can tell you all these things. But again, we're just going step by step before we even get into their attention. And it's been an hour, right? It's really important, all these details. Because your mind, you would know this, it would ring true to you. And your brain would be taking you to times where you felt this, thought this in some way, not exactly the way I'm saying it, but it's like getting lost in a movie. If a reading is really for you, I feel like they need to say that, because sometimes I'll get messages like, "Can you make a reading shorter?" No, I can't. And if they're too long for you, then it's not for you, because you should just be locked into the whole message, and time will fly if it's really your life, right? I'm not here to like instruct you on how to think. I'm telling you what's happened in your life and the energy you're already perceiving. Do you know what I mean? It's really important. I feel so nervous when, like, the closer we get to tapping into their intention, because I think it's just so, you're in such a precarious position right now with the trust issues in your soul. So I'm just being a little wordy. But let's take Temperance upright. I think it goes along with what I was saying about you finding balance and harmony within, finding the duality within yourself, having a connection to source, feeling protected in your spirituality. That guidance card in this, you feel like you're very protected right now and things are happening the way that they're supposed to be happening. But again, that devil in reverse monster is coming up as almost like a cautionary tale, but you're putting a face on it instead of it being an energy and a karmic lesson from the past. Now, 8 of Swords. This is obviously the place that you are in with this situation, because remember, you've put space up, right? It's triggered your trust issues within, and there's a little bit of anger coming in, getting trapped in your mind. For the past month, you've been releasing your limiting beliefs, right? 8 of Swords in reverse. Now it's upright when we're talking about this person. But that also means truly you're not seeing it clearly, because you are looking at the past and the disunion and the disharmony from the past, and you're thinking it's going to perpetuate in the future. And it very well may. But remember, if you're rock solid within, you can weather any storm. Now, let's take it upright. For the Four of Wands to be in reverse, at some point it had to be upright, right? Being in harmony, being in collaboration, having community, sharing in the union of that energy card. Like, it's only when your trust issues are triggered where that narrative gets distorted. And also, I'm hearing like other relationships you guys have both had. That's what gets you trapped in your mind. If you're doing the comparing thing, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a fool's errand. Like, if they're coming in because they're coming out of a Four of Wands and now it's a Four of Wands in reverse, some sort of breakup, discord, disharmony, disunion, that's not a reflection of you. That's just a part of their past, right? And that is, in and of itself, this last row, really what's making you feel like a rebound. Stop focusing on it. It's putting you into an Eight of Swords, which by definition is you not seeing things clearly, right? It's not like a Seven of Swords. It's not a Ten of Swords. Like, it's prison in the mind. Prison in the mind. I promise you. Okay, just a couple more, and then we'll get their intention. Like, what they mean as they're approaching you, right? And then we'll get the source's perspective on the contract and get some advice, some like direct advice, because you're in that waiting period right now. Okay, so now that we've established that that's actually just your ego and your shadow trying to keep you in the familiar hell, we can put this deck aside and have more room for this other deck. So clearly that Knight of Swords is how they've approached. Very impulsively. One more for that, source. Justice in reverse. One more. But the Hierophant, whoa. It perfectly fits with everything we've talked about. This is approached you so impulsively that it is appearing to be a negative karmic connection that you have not properly learned from. Your purple curtain, more karmic debris, right? And I'm not saying it's not, but it's the self-doubt and the negative self-talk and the self-criticism and the consequences from the karmic lesson is actually in your brain, right? In your brain. What you're telling yourself you're bracing for, and Hierophant. That's your unconscious programming. That is there's been such a ritual within you when it comes to self-love, but this person is also a ritualist, right? That's divine masculine. That's spiritual master energy. I want one more for that Justice in reverse, because I'm hearing legal issues. Oh my God, you just got the pairing. And look how it just confirms what I was saying. This is source's perspective. So however impulsive it's come in and a little bit chaotic, rushing in, charging into battle, the energy behind it is actually a Hierophant. It's also a card of marriage and faith, endurance, rituals, structure. It can be programming, but it's once you get to the Hierophant level, it's no longer unconscious programming. It's the programming that you have installed into the meat suit with your rituals, right? And look at how your energy, I'm seeing you as this High Priestess in reverse. That's blown me away. If you assume it's a negative karmic connection, it actually disconnects you from your higher self and your connection to source, that bridge between two worlds. It closes that channel. Look at that. That's blowing me away. We'll get things to confirm it, but that's great. And like High Priestess, Hierophant, that's in my opinion, the ultimate pairing in tarot, and sources throwing it out. You guys are some sort of divine connection. Doesn't mean you need to put it in your life. Doesn't mean you accept what you shouldn't. You should find detachment. Detach from the situation as being a reflection of who you are. But there's a lesson that needs to be learned. This whole reading is not about you getting back together with your ex. It's about you and your emotional wealth and you turning this upright and trusting in the universe. That's what this whole reading is about. So don't get it twisted. All right. What's this? Five of Swords in reverse? Making amends. Changing the outcome. Queen of Wands upright. She's the most magical. Sunflowers could be your favorite, just like they're mine. But she is that siren. I'm hearing you called this in as a lesson. And I think you, again, know that. But don't forget who you are. Don't lose track of who you are. I've said it about 1,000 different times in a bunch of different ways. Don't let this knock you just because it's not perfect and doesn't meet your expectation. It has nothing to do with them. Has nothing to do with them. One more. And also, I'm hearing you called them in, like you're very magnetizing right now. 10 of Cups in reverse. That could also be an exterior influence. Like if you know for a fact that there was a third person. Technically, it's not a third person if they were in a committed relationship. Like there's, a third person situation is where I think where there's maliciousness involved, right? Like 3 people and one person doesn't know about the other one. Like it's more of like a 7 of Swords situation. I think disunion, disharmony, broken dreams, with these two making amends. I mean, like with these two cards together and then 10 of Cups. Again, if someone else being in a relationship and then seeking you after it's over throws you off that much and you really think that that's a reflection of your self-worth, then we've got work to do. But just see it from a different perspective. One more for that 10 of Cups. Again, it's not okay for someone to treat you like a rebound, but don't take it personally. It's clearly not who you are. 7 of... As it was coming out of my mouth, see things clearly. 7 of Cups in reverse. Have a higher perspective. Cut through the fog. That mirage in the desert, it literally, poof, vanished. Call that medevac. Get out of there. Perfect. Perfectly aligns. That's magic. All right. This 8 of Cups. Yeah, that just confirms what I said when that came out with your perspective. This person never walked away from you because of a lack of love or a lack of wanting to build a foundation in the future. It just wasn't working and it hadn't been working for a long time. Remember that. This isn't how it's approached. This is a message from Source to you to remind yourself of that inner knowing that you've had probably for a long time until this reignited you and your trust wound. All right, what's this? Temperance. Page of Pentacles. So when you're out of balance and when you're feeling self-indulgent in your trauma responses, it comes from pessimism. It comes from a lack of ideas and a lack of foresight and not seeing things clearly and being out of options, right? One more. If Temperance was upright. Empress. Yup. You'd find balance if you just released it, right? Without assuming malice. 5 of Cups. Letting go, loss. 5 of Cups is a little bit of spilled milk, though, and you've got 5 and 5 on the table. Maybe that is, too, something that is you don't like internally. I'm hearing it's like because whatever has approached you doesn't align with you because there's other people still involved or you can't trust this person. You want to work on that. It's not in alignment right now. And so you're going to have to, or at least you're telling yourself that you're going to have to walk away. But again, since this is Source's perspective, in order to find balance, you do for a little bit, but it requires letting go of the past. And if you guys are just not meant to be, you're not meant to be. That's fine. Trust that nothing will ever pass you by. You're a high priestess. Ace of Pentacles. That's what it is. Walking away from the offer. Whether it's a actual Ace of Pentacles or not, that's the Midas touch. That is a solid fucking offer. One last one for that 4 of Wands, and then we'll get their intention. 4 and 4. Go within. 4 of Swords. You need time to think about this. And no matter what happens in the distant future, right now, you're still doing the right thing. And I said it at some point. Your first instinct was to be like, whoa, you needed to do that. That's a good job. A message or one single conversation is not going to change this dynamic. If you can't fundamentally trust someone, there is no point in accepting this. And you do have to walk away in order to find Temperance energy and see if they actually want to commit to the time, energy, and patience it would take to get to know each other again. You cannot go from some sort of long-term destruction, silence, whatever, to an Ace of Pentacles. You're right? Source is confirming it, but it's not spilled milk. It's not loss for the sake of pain. It just hurts that idea that you've probably had in your brain for a while that you didn't even know you were still holding on to, where you wanted the fairy tale ending. You can still have it. Don't have expectations. Trust in your beautiful high priestess mind that everything that is meant for you, you will have. It's not going to look exactly the way that you thought it would, but that doesn't matter. 4 of Swords, last one out. Go within. Reconcile the past in order to not repeat it, right? I was about to cleanse out and get their perspective, and I forgot we still have to get a few more details on who this person is, so you can make sure this is really your reading. Because again, I don't want to contribute to anybody's spiritual psychosis unnecessarily. Okay, so this will be who this person is. Who is this person? Source's perspective. But you would know these things to be true, right? Who is this person? Oh, beautiful. So, earthworm, fire ant, lizard, and butterfly. Clearly, this person is in a transitional state in their life. And that is another thing that I think is piquing your energy. But this also tells me that this person is capable of change, and you've seen that, right? This person is not the type of person where it's the same old shit, different day. This person is a type of person who can evolve. Butterfly and earthworm are both transformational energies about soul evolution, right? A newbie or a novice working to establish a footing in a field. They're brand new to whatever they're doing in life. But again, you've seen them be brand new at things, and they would have been more shy and reluctant and a little bit fearful as opposed to just charging forward. So in the way that you've seen their Knight of Swords energy be very impulsive and maybe even sometimes a little reckless, when it comes to self, they would actually be quite sensitive and like a deep thinker, and also get trapped in the mind in the way that you would. I'm hearing that. I do think this person has a little bit of a temper on them, and I think you guys mirror in that way because they've also got fire ant energy here. Maybe that's what unconsciously you're a little bit worried about triggering within them. I don't think they're not violent. They're not violent. I'm going to say that right now. They're not violent. They're not a monster. Like the 5th time. But I do think you've seen this person be a little bit explosive emotionally. That goes back to them being a sensitive person and bottling up their emotions. I think you've seen them have outbursts where it kind of all just came to the surface and you're like, I didn't realize you felt that way, because they probably struggle to communicate. Another indicator that the impulsivity is actually a symptom of suppressing emotions, which again, I think you also have done in the past. I do think that with this butterfly and this lizard, you can feel in your energy that they are transforming. The source is confirming that they are, but also I think they're connecting to some sort of magic within. Because the lizard, it gets worn down and exhausted when they don't take care of oneself, but they're innately very, very creative and magical, right? Very alluring, very unique and individualistic. I'm hearing one of a kind. This could be someone who you truly have never met someone like ever before in your life, and didn't, when you guys met, you recognize that right away, and it's still true to this day. So like their style or their, music and art tastes, their type of movies that they watch, like anything that they consume or surround themselves with would have been so crazy unique to who this person was, which also would have been something that you were drawn to, right? That's still here. And now that facet of the gem that they are is being applied towards transformation, which again is really good because this is Source's perspective. So on who they are and what they're going through right now. All details, all details. I heard it again, sensitive soul. So what's this earthworm energy? The golden egg, that's what they're a newbie with. Perfectly confirms it. Tuning into the heart center within. I see this golden egg as that like that heart center. I know the heart chakra is actually green, but I see it as like sitting in the middle of the body and just radiating out that warmth of love and connection and honesty and vulnerability of source, but finding like that stillness within where you find gratitude and connection. That's what they're brand new with. So again, in the past, I get the sense this person, because they struggled to communicate their emotions and their thoughts and their feelings, unless it was something that they were very excited about, they would have come off really cold and distant, kind of like the mad scientist, hermit in the woods, a little bit isolated. Nobody can ever really get to the bottom of what's going on with them. They probably showed you a more vulnerable side than they would show anybody else. But when you guys would get into some sort of rift or conflict, they would go stone cold. It's a defense mechanism, right? For you, it's actually a similar mechanism, but you put up a fortress, right? Yours is a little bit more active and you get a little bit more defensive. Maybe in the past you were a little bit more anxiously attached, but either way, if you guys are really some sort of divine dynamic, those roles would be switching if you're in a state of detachment, because you have to experience the way that they were and vice versa in order for you guys to round out that yin and yang dynamic and truly see each other as new. For that collective, that'll make total sense. But with their earthworm energy, they're activating the golden egg, and that couldn't be better. Like, it's not just about them being responsible or, learning to speak their feelings. They're connecting to a divine frequency of that heart space energy. I'm just going to read you a couple lines from it. Okay, so a message at the center of the heart, the unstruck sound. It says, the magical essence of the golden egg needs warmth, quiet, and time to unfold. No rushing, pushing, or grasping. Finding a place of deep, restful ease, perhaps through yoga or meditation, is how you engage it. It's an advanced practice. It requires becoming intimate with our very essence and comfortable with vulnerability, right? It perfectly confirms everything I was just saying. They're new to that, and you would know that. You would know that. And I have to say this too, because it's like such an specific thing I'm hearing. In the past, you would have seen their capability for vulnerability. Like, you would have seen little glimmers of it. It's not like this person was never vulnerable or never emotional or never honest. It was only when the really triggered state would come up, and it's like the moments when it was needed most is usually when our shadow will show itself in order to protect us from breaking through those barriers where we no longer need our shadow bodyguard, right? What's this fire energy? That's that propensity for a little bit of explosive emotion, especially when it comes to anger. Oh, the cobra. That's too many, but the cobra, the phoenix, and the shark. And that really aligns. If I were to let all three of those come out, it's kind of a really perfect combo, because waiting, that is the shark energy, just that slow, circling but silent energy. And what was building underneath that is the kettle of emotion, which when it was unleashed would be that striking cobra, right? The cobra is also the teacher. When the student when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So that really confirms what I said about you and your energy, is that you guys would mirror in this way. Whether you have ever had that thought or not, you would know it to be true now, that you both could really sting each other unnecessarily. But you've clearly learned how to not do that. And I think they've somehow learned that from you, like learned how to balance that. This is this is a specific detail. You would have had this thought pattern, but I don't know if you've ever confirmed it. As you heal, that phrase, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, you start to see that more and more and more and more when you recognize new people coming into your life through a healing journey, right? And then you start to witness when you become the teacher that appears for the student, right? It's this cycle. We're never just the master or just the perpetual student. It's this ebb and flow throughout life. And something that I've noticed, which is really fascinating in the divine dynamic, is that at some point, whoever is the second to activate the divine masculine energy, yang energy, one of the first frequencies or teachers that they encounter will be you guys. And they immediately do this thing where they're like, oh, I don't want to, like, blah, blah. They push it away because it's triggering all the shit that they need to heal. But the universe will keep sending that signal to them. And because you're familiar, they seek you guys out and then they watch in the shadows, which is really bad karma. It's really bad karma. And it builds up, karmic debris in the background that it's not the worst thing you can do, but like you guys feel the energetic pull and all this stuff. But then at some point they ease into it and they find other mentors and masters and they do this this master class where they just open up their brain to that curiosity sponge frequency and they start to really understand the lesson of that Cobra card. It's a rant that's coming to my mind for a reason. I think you've had that thought. Either because this person has been distantly interacting with you on your social media, or you've had that download, but it's really unhealthy in the mind, right? Just for anybody else who's watching, it's not their reading, to assume when you think about someone, they're thinking about you. Don't do that. Don't do that. You'll drive yourself mad and you'll get stuck in the longing veil for fucking decades. And then you'll have to try to course correct in the next life. So, what's this lizard energy? The horse. So that goes back to me saying that they're that they're a moral person, and that Knight of Swords energy. This person can be dependable and reliable. It's really being activated right now in their energy. So all the bits and pieces, and this can happen in any relationship, but especially the divine dynamic, because I still can't get over how you got the ultimate pairing. When shit hits the fan and the earth splits open and you guys fall through the cracks and you go through that long separation period, right? You're going through ascensions and phoenix periods and divine intervention moments, you're doing it separately, right? When that happens, both of you guys forget all of the good things about people from the past, not just each other, but yourselves, each other, and other people, right? As you heal, you start to see the duality of life, where there's good, there's bad, there's light, there's dark, there's happiness, there's sadness, blah, blah, blah. And when I think this collective, you're at this point in your healing where you're actually coming into a state of true detachment, is when you start to remember the good things. And then again, it makes it hard for your ego to accept that dualistic nature. And it's like, no, this person, we have trust issues with this person. And then the higher self goes, no, this person has always been reliable. Your trust issues are your own. That's an inside job. Horse energy, so reliable. You can ride on its back towards your goal from the beginning of time till the end of time. That's a part of their unique code, and it always has been. Me saying that, you would know that to be about them, even if they've made mistakes and been unreliable in the past. They have never been and never will be a uncharacteristically wish-washy person, right? The same way you're probably not a uncharacteristically wish-washy person. Why would I do that to myself with those two words? Just like the tongue tie Olympics. Oh, the Phoenix. Let's talk about that. All right, last one for the butterfly energy. That's what they're sitting in now. But again, the propensity for change, you've always known that they had that within them. They've been a chameleon before for good, and they can do it again. They are doing it again. It's the one that always makes me cry. That's what they're changing into. that's what you're teaching them how to be, and that they're learning from the universe how to be. I'm not gonna cry. I don't have it in me. I'm too dehydrated today. But anybody who's ever seen me, and when this card comes out, this strikes a chord in the soul, because this card, and watch, I'm gonna do it now. This card is about completion and a wholeness within. That is what the butterfly energy is creating within this person. Source's perspective. That means, again, you have activated your cosmic egg energy through butterfly energy, metamorphosis. No wonder you're so protective over yourself. So I'm going to read you both. I'm going to read you the butterfly with the cosmic egg. And so everything about these two cards, you should be able to apply to yourself, but now also recognize that's what this, how this person is shining out as well. That's magic. Okay, so I'm going to bookmark it so I can just flip to it. Okay, so the cosmic egg. Oh no, I'm sorry, the butterfly. Undergoing great transformation and change. The energy of the butterfly is with us during periods of transition. Since air is the element of the heart, this change usually... I don't know if I've ever realized that. I mean, heart and emotional well-being in tarot is cups. So I'm wondering what system that this author is using for that. Is it the chakra system? Someone tell me in the comments. Is the heart element, like, where is that coming from? I'm not saying it's wrong. I've read this card, I don't know how many times. I don't know why that's clicking in my brain. Like, oh, is it? Where did that come from? I want to know. I want to know. If I forget to look it up, someone put it like in the comments. It must be the chakra centers. Anyways, this change usually involves relationships, or if you love your job, perhaps your career. Since transition is accompanied by some amount of discomfort, be extra patient and kind during this time, especially if the butterfly is you. Let solid friends and activities support you like a cocoon, committing to one daily routine, a small practice, or a prayer done at the same time and place. It will do wonders for lifting a butterfly's spirit. So when out of balance, fragile and frustrated. When in balance, cheerful and graceful. So remember, you would have embodied all of this, and like obviously anybody who... It seems such a simple thing, but for the right collective, it'll ring true. It'll ring true how you can remember times where you were frustrated and you felt fragile and you committed to daily routine and you found new people in your life and new things that made your soul spark and new, obviously a new job, a new life path, a new soul path. And through that, you had multiple cocooning periods where you emerged and cocooned until you became this cosmic egg. This person is going through that now, right? Which really does follow the divine dynamic protocol. So the cosmic egg, completion, harmony, the infinite within the finite. The cosmic egg is the final card in the journey of the animal spirit deck, and it represents the unfolding of cosmic consciousness. The state emerges after we have tread the path for quite some time, and through self-effort and grace, we experience self-realization. A sense of contentment and oneness spontaneously arises within us, and the veils of our self-limiting beliefs are lifted. The avoidance, the anxiously attached, the unconscious programming, the defensiveness, the hypercritical nature, all the things we've talked about, that is a veil over the eyes. And when you become awakened and you reach the energy of the cosmic egg, the veil lifts and you find completion and harmony, right? It's not a permanent state of being, obviously, as this card will go on to say, but when the essence of this card have not been activated, we may feel as if we will never get there, or that we travel alone, disconnected from others. Even if our encounter with this card is brief, appearing as a momentary glimmer or flash of interconnectedness, its potent energy stays with us. The cosmic egg is a remedy for the fragmentation of modern life. And that's the part that always fucking gets me. Because if you are truly on this journey, right, a journey of enlightenment and healing of any kind, but in its truest form, in order to accept the invitation to come back to yourself, it is what will heal parts of this world for the better and long term. I don't believe in any way that this world is meant to be this utopia paradise, blah, 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 blah. But we can find moments of this card every single day if we really, really try. And that is so fulfilling to the soul to heal things, be a part of oneness, and feel interconnected in the tapestry of life every single day because it's available to us all. And when we forget that, that's when we're fragmented and we feel like someone has snipped us out of that, tapestry. And it's just not true. Anybody can achieve this. And I want anybody and everybody to achieve this so we can find harmony with all other living things, right? That's what my soul yearns for. This person is going through the evolution of that with the butterfly energy, and you would already be sitting in a very potent position of this in the soul, right? Again, it's an important detail. If you don't feel like you have found completion, harmony, and oneness, or you don't know what that feels like or what that means for you, not your reading. I would love for it to be, and one day I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Everybody, again, has the potential. Okay, so now I'm going to clear out. We'll get their intention. Okay, so let's just get the baseline intention from this person's perspective. Person who has just re-entered and put everything on a screeching halt with you, and you've put space there. What is this person's true intention towards collective? What is this person's true intention? One more. It's split. Healing heart, but with engagement ring. Commitment, partnership, completion, and union, and healing the broken heartbreak within. Freedom from toxic relationships and addictions. And then the karmic relationship came out. So there is probably some sort of thing that they're not running from it, but something that they've left behind or are leaving behind. I'm seeing this as you because I literally just did that motion, that like, oof, space motion. Can you see just like, that's you. What's this karmic relationship? Dragonfly. Be lighthearted, finding things out. From their perspective, I can see exactly how this came in. They either alluded to something or they weren't 100% forthright in whatever they said to you, and you went, Things coming to light, adapt, change, and heal. This is good. That's where the trigger came from. One more for that. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but you got the dragonfly now twice. Healthy choices. Making healthier choices in love, in life, self-care, self-love, being happier, in oneness. So again, it really like triple confirms you did the right thing by taking space and taking a minute. But it's a thought pattern that we need to address because of all the shit that we've talked about. Being lighthearted and finding things out. You can hear this person out. Or don't. It's your life. Do it exactly what you want to do. Do exactly what you want to do. But your trust issues are going to have to be healed now or in the future. Again, inside job. What's this not today again? I'm seeing that as your reaction and their perception of the situation. So that makes sense. Boundaries. Decisions from feeling strung along. So they know. They know. One more. The chaser. They know. Hold on. I want to see the emotion right now towards you, just to untangle that a bit. Because I could interpret it literally any way with the way these are coming out. Like if I were to go from an untrusting, unhealed way, I could say, oh, well, they think that they have to chase you and they don't want to do that. And they've got all the options in the world. It's just going to be a one-night stand. So you need to push it away and have boundaries. But with everything that's come out in the cosmic egg, do you see how I'm like, if we were going to come from a higher perspective, they're seeing how you're putting boundaries up because you don't want to be a one night stand. You have a fear of being, key on a ring energy and being strung along. And you are no longer going to be chasing this person, right? So it all depends on how we see things. Our perception is everything. So what is this person's emotion towards collective? What is their, what was that? What is this person's emotion? Decisions. One more. Abandoned. Waiting. Decisions. Sorry. Just look how this person's trying so hard to not overwork themselves while they figure out in the interim of you being like, no, they're waiting, but they're feeling a little bit abandoned, right? That's their own shadow to deal with. That's if they're telling whatever narrative they're telling themselves. We'll get a little bit more information, but waiting for you, hoping for, and didn't you get waiting too? Waiting for contact, hoping for contact, giving up on them. And I do say all the time in the divine dynamic, when you guys walk away because it's too fucking messy, that's what triggers them to truly be in divine masculine energy. So maybe that's just what you do here. Not in like a malicious way, but anyways, what's this waiting? Overwhelmed. So they're in a state of ignition just like you are. Emotional pressure, stressed, burdened, suddenly hit hard, a lot to take on, unable to cope, abandoned. Controlled. They're feeling controlled by this. It didn't go the way that they wanted it to. In the same way it didn't go the way you wanted it to. It's making them feel like they're being told what they can and cannot do. That's their shadow. Look how you guys are still triggering the shit out of each other. It's a beautiful lesson, but it's incredibly painful. Whatever this is, it's not ready yet. And I think, again, you know that. Happy. It's controlling their happiness. They can't feel grateful and blessed and pleased and joyful and fulfilled because they're controlled by this abandonment. So they're trying to be lighthearted and they're trying to make healthier choices, but they can't because there's a lesson here that needs to be learned for them. And you can't teach it to them. The universe has to teach it to them by this playing out in exactly the way it's supposed to. Again, this is not a reading about you getting back together with your ex and accepting bullshit. This is actually a confirmation that you did the right thing in the very beginning of whatever this interaction was by being like, no, right? And I think we're confirming that you should keep it that way. What's this? Decisions. What do I want? Deliberating, unsure of what to do, reflecting, detachment. One more. Suspicious. So they're like, do they even care? Is this even going to go anywhere? Because of the silence. They're sitting in the silence that they used to always give you. That storm, they're sitting in it now. And it's gut feeling, distrusting a hunch. You guys are mirroring. And they know you're not buying their story. One more. Especially underneath that engagement room, the calm, but the mask. It's not time. Whatever this is, you did the right thing. You did the 100% the right thing. But don't think that, don't harbor anger and resentment because, again, that's going to get in the way of the trust issues. That's the whole point of this reading. I'm glad we're tapping into this so you can see that, right? Just let it go. Just let it go. If it's meant to be, this is a fire you both have to walk through again. What's their deeper unconscious emotions towards collective? Sadness. Wolf, yeah. One more. Deeper. Exhausted. Yeah, it's not time. saving face on the bottom. Oh, I'm so glad we got these so you could see, like, you did 100% the right thing. Someone can't sit in silence and there's no persistence and will to win, and they thought that whatever one thing that they said to, however dry or non-committal, whatever, was gonna, it's right, have your boundaries. Have your boundaries. It's not a reflection of who you are. It's just a part of it's just this part of your story. Let it go forever. Because who knows how long this could take, right? You don't want to manipulate a situation and be like, I'm going to let go of this now. So next time it comes in, it'll be right. Because it's not going to be. You have to actually let go of it by seeing that it's not changing. And if it hasn't changed for a long time, that's an indication to let it go. For this engagement ring, intention towards collective. Unconditional love, falling in love, receiving. So it's obviously going to be there, but the emotion doesn't support the action behind the persistence that needs to be taken towards forgiveness, right? What's this healing heart? Healing from heartbreak. We'll get your, geez, it's going to be a long reading. We'll get your advice from source here in a second. Butterfly again. Relationship evolving to the next phase, healing the inner child, and more growth for soul discovery, inner work, right? Inner work. Last one overall around this dynamic. Soulmates. It's clearly some sort of partnership, like some sort of soul contract, but until you guys like talking, confession, none of the cards, it's not time. It's not time. It's not time. I'm just going to get a few of these, and then we're going to get source's opinion on what you should do next. And then we'll close this out because it cannot be a 3-hour reading. That's insane. Okay, what is this person's intention towards collective? Oh, beautiful. So that you are inspiring them and they are activated, which is good. But the masking just perfectly confirms it. It's not you, it's them. That's why they've approached you, and your feelers went off and you were right. They are activated, but why then with the mask? Like these need to be gone. These need to be gone and out of there. It's not your job to fix it, and you cannot respond correctly in this trigger right now. So don't. It says, I'm healing myself through meditation and spiritual practices. It's the only way I can make myself feel whole. But then what they're trying to heal, whether they know it or not, is if you really knew how I felt, you may not love me anymore. I'm afraid you'll reject me if I show you who I really am. That's why they came in masked, because they don't know how to be vulnerable. When it's time, you'll know it, because they'll come in and they'll put all their cards on the table and they won't be ashamed and they won't be scared. They could be scared, but they'll do it anyways, right? That's what divine masculine energy is doing the hard thing, even when it's hard. Even when you may not get what you want. That's what integrity is. And then masquerading. I'm still wearing a mask by appearing happy and serene in front of others. When I'm alone and think about you, I realize I was my true authentic self, right? I got to work through this. It's not time yet. Not even close. You did the right thing. You did the right thing. Just ride this one out. Don't say a goddamn word. Insecurities. Patience. I just want you to know how much I miss you and how much you mean to me. It's been difficult moving on without you, but I'm waiting for the perfect time to return. Well, they already did in a fucked up way, but, or in an uncomfortable way, and I'm trusting in the process. Okay, let's see, right? Again, one message is not going to change anything. They're being patient. They need to really prove that to themselves. Masquerade. Third. So you're right. It is a part of something that's going on in the background. You were right to be like, I feel like a rebound. Nobody should treat you that way. That's correct. It says, I made you feel inadequate because I chose someone over you. I regret the pain I caused you due to my selfishness and physical needs. You didn't deserve to be treated as an option. And you didn't. But there's no regret, remorse, I'm sorry, contrition. There's none of that. They're still wearing the mask. So that confession, right, instead of just some sort of communication, that confession needs to have that element. That's why you sensed it was not right. Let them keep going. Yes, on the bottom. Let them go through their spiritual practices, right? Think about how long it took you. Well, you're about to, I think I think you got the ick. Get yourself the ick, right? Keep it there, balancing. So they're still trying to be practical, but you have to have a balance between the two. I'm trying to balance the scales of my life and our connection. I took from you more than you were able to give, and I used you for my own benefit. I don't think they used you for their own benefit, but I think they were a little bit careless with you and you them. This isn't unhealthy and unfair to you. I'm sorry. All right, last one overall, and we'll get tarot. Family ties. I miss the family we created, the family that could have been. I realized I made a mistake by walking away from my happiness. I'm hearing a little, too little, too late. And again, unless it comes in the right way, it should be a little too late. And don't do, and it's not malicious. It's just, with everything we've gotten into, if you still get to this point in a reading and you think I'm telling you to wait it out and manipulate the situation and hold on to hope, that's not it. That's not it. You've missed the whole point. The whole point is to show you that this person is not a bad person, and how they've approached you has nothing to do with who you actually are, and that this is a lesson for you, that you still have trust issues that you need to work on outside of whatever this is, right? Let the universe take care of this and actually let it go for real this time. Right? Not wondering what they're doing, wondering what they're going to say, thinking about a response, thinking about what you're going to do next, just being like, I need to work on myself. I'm not going to think, I'm pushing this out of my mind. It's not in my control, right? That's what you should be getting from this reading. 100%. Detachment, not craving, yearning, pining, needing, right? You're like, ooh, I have shit I need to work on. Thanks for letting me know. I'm out of here. Not that you have to say that, but okay. So, source, what comes next for this beautiful heavenly collective? Seeking closure. Fuck. Don't take shortcuts. Don't take shortcuts. Good. Good. I was so worried there for a minute, because you have World in reverse, but then you've got Moon in reverse, King of Swords, Eight of Coins, right? So you're going to have that impulse to say something, to do something, to get more information, to seek closure. You don't need it. The lesson, you're already walking through it. You have trust issues still. You need to work on that. You don't need to, we'll get actual advice here in just 2 seconds, but you need to release fear and anxiety and trust your intuition. That veil wants to come up, and we need to get High Priestess upright. Mind over matter, doing what's right, doing things by the book, cold and detached from the idea that anything this person says or does is going to make you feel like you're doing the right thing. You have to make yourself feel like you're doing the right thing and become a master at that craft. This is just more work that needs to happen for you, right? Let's get the actual advice from Source's perspective. Actual advice. What should this collective do right now with this? Yeah. If you're craving union, it's not time. There's no direction towards it. It's blocked by obstacles. You feel powerless. That's for a reason. It's not within your control. Don't feel like you have to coerce this or manipulate this. I said it so many times. Don't be forceful towards this. It's just going to create more blocks. You need to find your duality within. It's just not time yet, right? No matter what. One more for that advice row. What was that? Yeah, this could take a year or more. I hate to do that to you. It could. It literally could. It doesn't matter. It's just a stepping stone. Tying up loose ends. Validate your feelings. Hibernate. And you're in Four of Swords. You should be, at least, going within. Let this go forever. Find the light within. Right? If it's meant to come back, it actually will. They're going through a fucking butterfly to cosmic egg period. A year would be a generous, that would be kind of a miracle. It takes years to get to that level. And if they've just started, just saying, spiritual mastery takes time. And also, trust issues take time to work on too. You shouldn't be thinking about their timeline at all. And that's your energy pulling me in to be like, well, what about them? Doesn't matter. It's lacking direction, blocked by obstacles. You are completely powerless when it comes to union energy. Work on yourself and duality within. Find the light within, right? All right. Outcome for collective. And if different timing cards come out, they come out. But that's the only one on the table right now. Wheel both ways. This is oh, God. You've got wheel both ways. So this is a cosmic, this has been cosmically timed. And this could either be the closing of a cycle and a time for expansion and good fortune and fate, or it could be a karmic lesson to repeat a cycle. It's a new beginning, though. It's a new beginning. One more for that Page of Swords in reverse. That's not speaking your truth in unanswered questions. That could just be the new beginning you sit in, is understanding that that's just the way it's going to be. Yeah. You're playing mind games with yourself. If you want to say something, but don't do it with the expectation that this is going to come into completion, because it's not. It's just not time, right? If anything, if it were me, I'd be like, I can't do this right now. I don't trust you. I feel like there's something going on. And whether there is or not, that's something I need to work on with my trust issues. And you clearly still trigger that within me, which means I can't think rationally about this. Good hearing from you. If this is meant to come back into alignment, it will at some point. But right now is not the time, right? Whatever you want to say. That would, in my opinion, even still be wordy, but you don't need to be sarcastic or cynical. You don't need to be flippant. It's going to create a bubbling under the surface energy, and you could have a brand new beginning here. But what does this Ace of Coins upright rest on for this collective? What does it rest on? I think just time is really what it is. It's in your timeline, but you got to get through everything else first. Yeah. Obstacles, avoidance, stalemates. It's unclear. It's because you'll be sitting, like, it's that ignition phase. If you sit on what you should be doing instead of just moving on from this and seeing that it doesn't align at its base level, that's what will create a stalemate energy and stop you from having a new beginning. The new beginning is you letting it go and detaching. Truly, that's what it is. And I know that's very anticlimactic. It doesn't fit the narrative of the, fucking overly dramatic love story where you're swept off your feet. But again, with everything we've talked about, it's clearly what needs to happen. It's just letting go of expectation and trusting in the universe. One more, and that's when you get your Ace of Coins. For self, new beginning for self, stable insecurity within, right? Abundant potential within, not external. Yeah. King of Wands both ways. You could either have lack of energy and feel controlling over this, or you can be like, you know what? I got the answers that this creator thinks that I need. That's enough for me. I'm letting this go forever. I'm going to shift my focus and really let this go. And when it comes over you, you tell yourself that over and over and over again. I've let that go. It's out of my control. It's out of my mind. And then you go into your modalities, your meditation, your breath work, your, self-care, your distractions, going for a walk, whatever it is. You be really fucking on top of it and you get things done. Right? They're wanting literally more entrepreneurial, free thinker, successful, visionary energy within. Make art. If you're struggling that much with someone on your mind, it's because you're not being nearly creative enough. You're just bored. Okay, last one for this Ace of Coins and this collective outcome. Yeah. This Ace of Coins grounds in the soul. Once you are a spiritual master, you're so fucking close. But in universe perspective, you're in High Priestess in reverse. You're still holding on to expectations. You're still holding on to self-doubt. You're still holding on to a lack of your intuition. If it really is meant to be this person, like the face of this on this meat suit that's housing the soul, if it's really meant to be, then you are still in your mind not trusting your intuition towards that. And if it's not meant to be this person, you know that you're divinely connected to source. So why wouldn't you have a divine counterpart? Do you get what I'm saying? That's why you get that Ace of Coins when you reach that spiritual enlightenment. You're in the last, like, this is the final break, final hurdle. Go within, contemplate, find the guiding light, do the soul searching that you need to do in order to truly detach. That's going to be hard, but everybody gets to this point. You're on that journey, right? It only comes in correctly when you really don't want it anymore. And clearly you still do. And that's why you're afraid of losing it by making the wrong decision, right? You can't lose what's already yours. You can't lose what's in your timeline. It's written in your timeline, right? Once you believe that, that's when the magic happens. Usually you have to be so busy that you're not even thinking about it. What angel is watching over this collective? Ruler of the divine chariot. They're trying to give you chariot energy for your life and for yourself. Movement, dynamic action, coordination, teleportation, fights and defeats chaos. I shelter you from storms and show you how to use your Merkaba to become the chariot of divine power. Full moon, go in smoky quartz. Perfect. They're saying go with your life. Go. Just like, do not focus on this. Do not get trapped in the mind. Oh, actually, I want one of these. Soul solitude. Your soul needs attention. There are moments when it's important to get away, not just from the noise. That hermit. Perfect. Not just from the noise of the outside world, but to find a place where your soul can experience peace and quiet. A place for soul solitude. This is the time to pause, time to reflect, a time for you. Perfect, perfect, perfect. One more. Soul power. Look at all the internal. Always remember your soul. You're a soul that comes with a body, not a body that comes with a soul. Your soul is true essence and has unlimited potential when it comes to soul power. And this is always at your command whenever you need it. Beautiful. One of these. Divine alchemy and ascended master of Lady Nada sensitivity. This divine alchemy, I have to read that to you. This is the energy that's around you right now from source specifically. Aura quartz, ascended master Mary Magdalene. But alchemize this shit. Turn the pain and the uncomfortableness that you're feeling from a lack of closure and give it to yourself. Give it to yourself. Rewrite the narrative. Be like, you know what? All the things I've felt about this person, the negative narratives, I get to release that now because I get to see that they're changing. And maybe this is not my person, but I really love being reminded that not everybody is shit and that I'm not a victim. Like whatever you have to do, alchemize that shit. Make art about that shit. Move forward. That's what alchemy is. Transform the pain into something great for self and the world. It says, we bring you the blessing of the divine alchemy. Divine alchemy is the art of transmutation, the application of spiritual consciousness to physical form, so profound that an entirely new form evolves. It is irreversible change. It is the coal transformed into the diamond, the lead of sleeping matter, the lead of sleeping matter awakened into the radiant gold of consciousness. Successful alchemical transformation requires patience, courage, and a belief in the power of spirit above all else. Remember what I was saying about belief? You have to actually believe if this is what you want. Like if you want to be free of the shackles of longing, yearning, pining, the trust issues, the fear, the chaos, you have to let go and trust that source has you. Let's see. The radical and permanent transformation effected by divine alchemy may seem miraculous to the outsider viewing the changed form, yet the alchemist knows that when spiritual consciousness meets physical matter, the world will never be the same again. Really, just get to work. Ignite your life path, right? Clearly, this is such an important stepping stone. It's going to bring you the closest you've ever been once you heal that trust wound within. Closest you've probably ever been to source. I mean, incredible. You're going to be a master alchemist. Has nothing to do with another person. No toxicity. 514. Last card. Detoxify your relationships. Your angels want you to remove toxic patterns from your... This is what, like, I love this deck. It always perfectly sums up some of the most important points, right? You can rewrite that narrative about this person. Isn't that such a beautiful relief? God, that is actually such a good feeling. What a gift. Be grateful for it. That you don't have to, in your mind, be like, this person was using me and made me feel like an option, blah, 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 blah. You can see and feel little bits of their transformation that they're working through and let go of the expectation that they're going to be perfect or they're going to be a monster, right? What a relief. What a relief. If you cannot mend it and move forward, it's okay to let it go. Stop. Do you see that? You can't fix this. It's not ready. It may never be. That's okay. It should be good enough to let it go. Now you have the answers you really needed, not the ones you thought you needed. Light a candle today and thank your angels for protecting you from the energy that no longer serves you. What a beautiful way to say thank you to source, to light a candle, sit in front of it, and just express gratitude. Don't ask for anything, right? Don't pray for guidance. Just say thank you for protecting me. Thank you for giving me this strength and courage that I need to see what aligns and what doesn't, right? Maybe give them an offering. It's one of my favorite things to do. Like bake something and give your whoever you pray to the first bite or first piece of whatever you bake. That's one thing that I do, right? And then sit and share in what you made with Creator. If you've gotten this far, you're so divinely protected. Of course, you're going to have one of those tests to show you that. All right. Good luck.